I keep telling all of you, I have the coolest friends in the entire world. It's been about 2.5 years ago. I was sitting on the couch with my son, and we were talking about the podcast. And I saw on Instagram this amazing work of art. It was a Jordan shoe that was made all out of wood with no stains, no paint, anything like that, just all different types of wood. I couldn't believe my eyes. I showed my son, and he freaked out because he's a sneakerhead. So I decided to reach out at that point. My mom and dad told me that people are already not my friends. So what's the worst thing that could happen when you reach out? Me and my son hopped on Instagram. We created a video and said, "Hey, Steve, we just want to let you know that your work is absolutely amazing. I'd love to have you on the show." And I said, "Maddox, what do you think?" He said, "Yeah, you should be on my dad's podcast." About 25 minutes later, he hits me back. Steve hits me back right away and lets me know, "Yeah, I'd love to be on the show." And it's been about 2.5, almost 3 years ago that he was on the show, episode 289, if you go back and check it out. Today, it's episode 667, 2.5 years later. But this guy has lived a full lifetime since I talked to him last, or since we had him on the show. I've got a chance to talk to him because he's one of my buddies. But I just want to ask you this. What does Jordan Poole, Julius Randle, Kobe Bryant, ASAP Rocky, Pau Gasol, designer bags, the Golden State Warriors, Jordan brand with golf, with a creative partnership and shoe, Futura 2000, Melvin Golf, the Masters, Jason Day, Sotheby's, a Babe Ruth jersey from where he called the shot that was auctioned at the Heritage Auctions, and BMW all have in common. Well, I'll tell you, Steve Thomson, Happy Life Wood. Let's get this party started.
Nothing more on my mind. I got two shines, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again. Make no mistake, we continue to win. Defeat never known, cause I will not lose. They wanna mimic my moves, but can't walk in my shoes.
Golden State Warriors, Golden State Valkyries. Tell me how that came into your life, buddy.
Oh man! First of all, thanks for having me on again. I can't believe it's been 2 years since we last did the last one, but it's been crazy, man. It's been a wild ride. It's just hard to believe all the work that's been done since then. But yeah, I was reached out to by the Golden State Warriors. They had seen my work, and I think we're looking for the right opportunity to commission me to do a piece. So they reached out, and basically they had built this brand new VIP luxury sports bar, and it's right connected to the Chase Center. It's absolutely unbelievable. They've got everything in there, from golf simulators to anything you can want. As a matter of fact, Steph Curry rented that out this year for his private party at the All Star weekend. It's that huge. And they were looking to put artwork in there that I think obviously was related to the Warriors, and also the Golden State Valkyries, which is the WNBA team that's in their inaugural season, and they wanted to do two jerseys. And we got on a call and talked about it, and it all came together, and they were just amazing to work with. We went out there and spent a lot of time with their social team and all their administrative people, and then was lucky enough to go right around media day, which was kind of planned out, and to actually have the players actually come out and view the pieces and get their reaction was so cool. I never expected that, but it was, and then meeting Steph and Steve Kerr, and it was just it was a moment that I'll remember forever.
Well, I think it was incredible because to see Jonathan Kaminga, the first thing that he was talking about is this should be in a gallery. And from the post, seeing it, and no one believes me when I show him pictures. And I was just showing Mike Bender, one of my buddies, so shout out to him. But I was just talking to him this morning, and I showed him a picture of the Jordan 1 that you did. And since I saw you, or since you were on the podcast last, you actually started doing full 3Ds, like full on, because when you came on the last time, you had a Jordan in a frame and it popped off and it was 3D, but you couldn't walk around it. And then you
Yeah.
started doing these complete. I mean, you can't tell the difference between that and an actual shoe. It is unbelievable. How did you figure out how to be able to do that? Because you've even progressed your work since I seen you last.
Yeah, and when I started out, I started doing pieces that were two-dimensional, really. Like you said, you couldn't like walk around them and see all sides, but
Yeah.
they had a 3D perspective. So it gave the illusion that they were 3D. Um, but one of the things that as I was doing these, I was always like, man, I kind of feel, the, pulling off, all the different woods is challenging, but I was kind of feeling like I was falling short in that I wasn't creating these things in full three dimension.
Yeah.
And so I racked my brain for like 2 years. I spoke with different people about, you know, trying to get some type of 3D templates that I could, cut the wood and then try and put them together using, like a software program, like a CNC software program, and then I would cut the pieces and put them together. Um, but as I got thinking about it, I just kind of like it came to me a technique that I could use, and it was fairly simple. I mean, I say simple, but um, so I finally figured it out, and the Jordan One Low that I have out there, that one was kind of a test, and it came out pretty good, and I was pretty excited about it because I figured out how to do it, and so there's going to be more things coming. The other thing, in terms of the jerseys and things like that, um, it's basically kind of using the same technique as I do with the T3 2D, but kind of like putting a front and back together and then figuring out how to sculpt it and make it look as real as possible. And that's I think that I think the challenge a lot of times is um, you know the sculpting is can be challenging, but that's what I enjoy the most is actually shaping that thing and seeing it come to life.
Do you still have the Jordan 1, or has that gone away?
No,
The
I do
Jordan
have it
1,
here actually. Yep. Hang on.
it freaks people out because, again, Steve, when I show people these and I show them the pictures of it, it doesn't, none of it does it justice. So if you're watching, I want to tell them this, Steve. If you're listening on Apple right now, I want you to go over to Spotify, or I want you to go to YouTube right now, because Steve is holding up one of the shoes. So explain this to us, because there's no way that that's wood, man. That's a real shoe.
Yeah, it's all wood. It's a solid. I think it weighs. I think I weighed it. I think it's about 2.5 pounds. Um, yeah,
Holy cow.
yeah. It's you know, I mean, it's kind of hard to explain how I did it. Um, but it's
How
based.
long does this project take? This was what Mike Bender was asking me. Like, if you set with that, how many work hours do you put into that to be able to have the finished product?
I think there was probably 300 hours put into this.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, everything is, everything, wherever you see a different color, it's a
God.
different species of wood that I've put into this, and used an inlay or a layering process to do that. So yeah, sometimes people don't believe me. They think it's painted and stained, and I get called a liar on on Instagram. But
So no stains, no paint, just all different colors of wood.
yeah, the only thing that I do is I apply a clear wax oil at the end, just to protect it and preserve the wood, but it's clear. It doesn't affect the color at all. I mean,
Wow.
like with anything, when you apply like a polyurethane or a finished clear coat on something, it pops the color and the grain of the wood.
Yeah.
It'll do that, but it doesn't alter really the color in the wood. It's not like I'm using it as a color source. It's because the wood is already that color.
Wow.
You can see. I don't know. My feed on here is not. It's kind of blurry, but can you
No, you could
see?
see it. I mean,
You see the grain in there and stuff.
holy cow.
See the grain in the Paduke.
Yeah.
So that redwood is a wood called Paduke, and then the black is a wood called Wenge. The white is a wood called Holly. Um, and I just sourced the different woods, and yeah,
Wow.
put them all together.
I mean, it's a whole different how crazy is it too, the degrees of separation, right? And so obviously, like the start of this, for those who didn't hear the first episode, which if you haven't, go back to episode 289, and you talk about the origin story as far as, and I'll just do it quick. Um, you build a gift for your son. You do that, and then you're working on a Kobe piece. Your friend says, "Hey, can I put it on my social media?" He puts it up. Pau Gasol sees it. Pau Gasol wants to buy it. You guys connect, and then we're kind of off to the races. But I think the part that people don't understand, Steve, and you and I were talking about yesterday, is a lot of times people think they just yada yada it. Like it just went off to the races and then everything works from that point. Then Steve has the magic touch and his life is completely, charmed from that point forward. But it's not jumping from hilltop to hilltop. Am I correct? There's hills and valleys through these things. What are some of the things that you've gone through during this time?
Yeah. So the post when Pau Gasol posted the Kobe piece was definitely a great jumping block for me. I think I picked up, because I didn't have any social media presence at all. I think I picked up, I don't know, maybe a few thousand followers. But the thing about the whole thing is you didn't mention it, but I'd worked in a corporate marketing job for 28 years, with a background in graphic design and the creative side of things, and really just picked up woodworking as a hobby. Created the piece for my son, then created the other piece. But um, it was really, it gave me a start. But we looked at it, and I said, I really want to try to do this full time, and do it as, make a living doing it. So, you know, obviously it's tough to leave, or give up an income that's, that you can count on every, month or whatever. So we looked at it and we were like, you know, we can take a shot at it, but I need, when people were reaching out, because a lot of people were reaching out, but I didn't have any work to show. I had two pieces. So that first year was, building every day on the phone with different people, building relationships. And, my son, who at the time was working in the influencer marketing world, he worked for a influencer marketing software platform. But he was speaking with brands every day and really understood, um, what it took to, build momentum on social platforms. And he worked so hard at reaching out and developing relationships with people. I had a product that was unique and different, which is always, when you're in sales, it's always a great, if you have a story to tell and you've got a good product, then it really, it opens up a lot of conversations. So I was taking on work in that first year. It was COVID. It was during COVID, so it was a great time because we were getting money. That were I can't remember what they called, the relief money or whatever that we were getting.
Yeah.
And loans were sometimes forgiven or put on deferment. So I was able to do it. I didn't have to worry about the money side of things as normally you would if you start a new business. You basically have to come up with all this cash, and so I didn't really have any overhead. It was just my time and my labor. And so we took on meaningful projects that we thought could help us build momentum and get exposure through social media. And he just was a magician. I can't, I know I'm his father, and I'm a little biased, but I mean, if you look at what he's grown our accounts to, I mean, I think we're over 500,000 followers across platforms. But just to do that in roughly 3 years is really amazing. I always tell him, I said, somebody's going to do a study on this someday, because it's just unbelievable what he's done. And it's not just having a couple videos go viral, because we've built a community. And it's trying to position ourselves with the right audience that we feel is going to enjoy what I do, and engage with us hopefully on a daily basis. So he's just really strategically chosen the right path and done it with unbelievable purpose. So yeah, it's like you said. I mean, it's to be an Instagram artist, is, I mean, to be an artist in general is not easy.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot of ups and downs. The stability isn't there like a regular job would be. But we just work our butts off every day, but both knowing and believing in what we're doing, and just basically knowing that this is going to work. We have absolutely no doubt that this isn't going to work out, and the work is always going to come in, just because we feel what we're doing is something unique and special. And it's the passion behind it, and just really believing in our process.
Well, you're a very humble guy, and when you say an Instagram artist, I don't believe you're an Instagram artist. I think you're one of the most elite artists of our time. I mean, otherwise you wouldn't be able to auction your stuff off at Sotheby's. You wouldn't have the opportunity to be, at the heritage auctions. Let's go to the Gentry thing, because this really blew me away. Like I've got a chance to just celebrate, and I'm in the stands. I'm saying figuratively, I'm in the stands, and I'm watching these things. And then this thing with Gentry comes across. And for those of you who don't know, for Gentry is one of the people responsible. Help me on this if I'm off on this, Steve. But he's one of the ones responsible for the Jordan 2, the or the Jordan 3, the Jordan 4, the Jordan brand. Gentry is the guy. Like, I mean, he is
Yeah.
royalty in that realm. And I see something come across. Um, was this strategic with you guys as far as like with your son saying, "Hey, this is a place that we want to go," or how did the relationship develop?
Yeah, first of all, so Gentry, you pretty much nailed it, but he led the Jordan brand for many, many, many years, and just a phenomenal figure in the sneaker world and sneaker culture, and really sneaker history. Um, but he, this is where we answer every single DM, and I mean I say we, but my son, he answers every single DM, and we just try to engage with as many people as we can, and whoever is going to show love and is I feel is responsible for making this all happen. Each individual in their own rights, in their own way, and so we want to show it back. We appreciate you. We appreciate the support and the follow and the likes, and so Gentry reached out via DM, and I think he said, just something like, phenomenal work, and in that in those kind of first couple years, whenever somebody, of that type would reach out, we would definitely reach back and say thank you, but we would always inquire about, you know, meeting them and having a conversation with them, just to really expand our network and build relationships. So we said that, and he was like, "Sure, let's get together." So we had a call, and he during the call he literally said, I'm a storyteller. I love to tell stories, and I really see, because at the time he was transitioning into, because he had kind of like moved away from the Jordan sneaker brand, but was basically working directly with Michael to build the golf brand. And he said, I really see a story here. I see the wood, the craftsmanship, and how it kind of ties into golf in terms of, the detail and the craftsmanship that were used to make the old wooden golf clubs. And I just see a story here. And he goes, I would love to do something. Maybe we could even do, a shoe. And of course, our jaws fell to the floor, because that's something that I've always dreamed of doing, was collaborating with a sneaker brand to, not only do a sculpture of the shoe for the brand, but also assist in the creative process, in designing a shoe. So it was basically a 2 year endeavor. We met from monthly to quarterly, and I submitted some design concepts. And one of the biggest moments for me was, Gentry had said that he was going into a meeting in Portland, I think, and he needed some renderings. So I did the concepts, sent them to him, via email, and didn't think much of it. I just thought he was making meeting at Nike, and because they were also involved. But he emails me the next day, emails me back, and he said, "Oh, just wanted to let you know that Michael loves your work and loved the concepts." And I'm like, wow. I mean, that was a huge moment for me. And so yeah, and then it just kind of went from there, and we were absolutely, um, thrilled with the way that it came out, and the reception that we got from, the sneaker world in general,
Yeah.
in the golf world. We worked with their PR team. A woman by the name of Samantha Baker helped us with she's PR for Jordan Brand, and was just unbelievable to work with. And to cap it all off, the icing on the cake was, part of that story with the shoe, with designing the shoe, was I was also going to create a piece around the shoe. So I created the shoe out of wood. I also created another shoe that was launched at the same time with that shoe. It was a pack. Um, and I did a piece where it actually was sitting in looked like a golf locker. And that piece is in Michael Jordan's home. So that to me is pretty much the ultimate. But was also able to meet him and play golf at his golf course. And so yeah, it was just, there's no money that that you can put on that. It's just those moments
Yeah.
are, and especially doing them with my son, who, the reason that I do all of this stuff, and it's the reason that I've chosen the subjects matter that I choose to work on, is those are things that I love and I'm passionate about, and those are both things that he and I shared growing up, like, sneakers and fashion and pop culture. And so yeah, that's I think the biggest thing in all of this has been, the real bucket list items and things that we've been able to do together, is incredible.
Speaking of icons, Babe Ruth's jersey from the walk-off home run, the most famous
Yeah.
play in baseball history.
Hmm.
Take us to that. How does this happen? And when I saw this jersey, Steve, I mean, everything, and I told you this last night when we were talking, we weren't recording anything like that, but I'm saying, like, everything is a jaw dropper. But when I saw this Babe Ruth jersey, I was like, okay, Steve is actually showing, I don't know how he got the actual jersey, but, or maybe he's at a museum, but he took a picture of this one. This is not wood. And then I looked at it. I mean, absolutely blown away. Tell us the origin story of that. How does that happen? And then it sells at a pretty cool place too.
Yeah. So one of the things that we like to try to do, and it's, again, it's my son's kind of strategic thinking, is try to incorporate and partner with um, brands or folks to memorialize special moments. And one of the things that I had been wanting to do was a Jackie Robinson jersey, because he's, an idol of mine, and just always wanted to do that. So we saw Heritage Auctions was having an auction. I can't remember when it was, like a year ago, where they were auctioning off his jersey, Jackie Robinson. So we contacted Heritage, and they responded immediately, and we said, we'd love to create this out of wood and have it in your auction. And they were like, absolutely, let's do it. But as we got going and through the process and stuff, we just felt it was a better fit, and maybe a little bit more eyes would get on the Babe Ruth one, which they had coming up, in a few months or whatever. And it being, the moment, of Babe Ruth hitting that called shot home run, was so iconic. And that's exactly what we try to do, is we try to link the art up with, moments. And so it was a great experience. I had never auctioned a piece off before. And I was able to I didn't get the real jersey, but I got some pretty detailed photographs to work from, and just tried to get it to look as close as possible. I mean, with wood, there's limitations, obviously, but I just try to go that extra, to nail the details, to make it look real.
Now, with this, you had a time frame, right? Because the auction is coming up. You've got to deliver at that point. Do you like working with that kind of time frame, or do you like to work where you have an unlimited side, where you can kind of just work through your creative
Yeah,
process? Or do you like to have like, no, I got to have that because it wasn't like they were going to move the auction if you didn't have the
right.
piece.
Right. I like a balance. I like not too much time, but like, a reasonable amount of time, because I have put myself in or gotten into positions where, the time frame wasn't real reasonable. And then that's when I'm pulling, three all-nighters in a row. And, that's, I don't mind that, but it's not the most the best way to go about doing my work. I like to be able to take my time and really think through everything, and make sure that I'm keep putting out the best product possible. So yeah, but I don't mind a deadline, a
Okay.
reasonable deadline. But yeah.
So one of the biggest challenges I think in planning a party is you could plan the party, have it the greatest, you have the greatest guest list, everything like that, but everyone goes through the nerves the night before or the day of thinking, is anyone going to show up to my party? Like you could have everything set, but there's that nervous part. Did you have that when it went up for auction, thinking like, how is this thing going to go? Are people going to respond to it? What are you going through? And are you live there or are you watching online with your son?
Yeah, no, it's actually a longer process than you would think. It's actually, I think it was like a 2 week auction. So it's you look at the numbers daily, and it was a test for us. I'd never auctioned anything off before. We thought, why not? Let's try it. In the end, if we don't, if it doesn't sell for what we think it should, then oh well, I've got another piece under my belt that I think is cool. And there's social content that we can use from it. So yeah, I mean, it was a little nerve wracking, to be honest. But I was happy with the outcome. Art is only as valuable as somebody wants, that how much somebody wants to pay for it,
Yeah.
and I've been, to be honest with you, from day one, I've been blown away that anybody even wants to spend any money on my work. I was doing this as a hobby, um, but then you get into doing it, and you're like, okay, I gotta put food on the table, I gotta keep the lights on. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it was different. It was different. I don't know, is what that does is it gives you the ability to kind of choose what you want to do, um, as opposed to somebody coming to you and saying, I want to do this. um, I mean, I only take on stuff that I want to do, but this gives you the opportunity, auction gives you the opportunity to kind of create what you want to create.
Absolutely. Take us to the ASAP Rocky thing because again, like this one, I had seen you do the jersey. You did the Julius Randle jersey. I saw you do the Jordan shorts. I saw those things, but then the ASAP Rocky was a full outfit. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
and seeing it right next to, I mean, even the wrinkles in the original, which is fabric, so it's going to have normal wrinkles and waves and all those things. Them sitting next to each other, if I didn't tell you, you could not tell the difference between an all wood with no stain, with no paints, and all different types of wood and the actual garment itself. Take us to that ASAP Rocky part because this was mind blowing also.
Yeah, so I mean, he's just an icon. He's somebody that my son and I have looked at as just a fashion guru and somebody that we, you know, look up to so much. So when he DM'd us, um, it was it was insane. Like I could not believe that he ASAP Rocky was DMing us. Um, and what I loved about the potential to work with him is I knew that he's an artist and that he's creative and was going to be just somebody that's not going to just say I want this, but work with you throughout the process to come up with something that is unique and different. So he DM'd us. We actually I'm from upstate New York. I live in Rochester, but my son lives right in New York City, right in Manhattan, and I'm there quite often. And I had said to him, I'm in the city quite a bit. If you ever, if you want to get together and kind of talk creative, and so I was gonna be in the city for I think a day or two, and he actually gave me his number. And I texted him. I said, "Hey, I'm in the city. If you got some time, you want to sit down for a minute." So he, texts me back and he says, "I'm down. Let's do it." So he says, "Meet me over at the Four Seasons." So we head over there, not knowing really what to expect, So we walk in and we're in the lobby and we're waiting for him because he was, I think he was doing a photo shoot or something up in one of the suites or whatever. So we're standing there, and the elevator doors open, and I see him, and he sees me, kind of gives me a smile, and right behind him is Rihanna walking behind him, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like holy cow. So yeah, she was really nice and came over, but then we ended up actually going with him to a jazz bar drinking some tequila and talking creative for like 2-3 hours, which was unbelievable. I mean, just to sit there with an icon like that that we admire so much, and you know just to sit there and talk creative with him and see what goes through his mind and during a creative process is so incredible. So we ended up coming up with he wanted to do his Formula One suit that he did with Puma. As I think he's actually the creative director for Formula One Puma division. And So yeah, we made it happen. He wanted it to be on a hanger, and I just came up with having it hang as a suit, and then was able to go do the reveal with him at actually it was at his one of his press days at his studio in New York City, and again just one of those you know amazing moments that where we just have to pinch ourselves and say, are we really doing this? So yeah, it was amazing. He's a great guy, man. He's just full of energy, full of creativity. He's humble. He's just is a respectful, down to earth dude when you get to know him. So it was an honor to meet him.
So let's take it to golf because I was just watching the documentary on HBO. I don't know if you've seen it. Tiger, did you see it? It's just
Yeah,
entitled Tiger. So the
yeah,
two-part series, which was, I've seen Tiger documentaries before, but this one was unreal how they put it together. Um, but watching that, my brother's really into golf. Um, my son just started falling in love with it. You and I are talking last night, and you had said something about Futura, Melvin Golf, and the Masters, Jason Day, this whole connection point. And you were telling me about it, and I was like, I don't know if I've seen it. And then you said, no, it's a vest. And I was like, I saw the vest. I didn't connect the ones. The Masters, Jason Day, Melvin Golf, Futura 2000. What do they all have in common, man?
Yeah, no, Melbourne. It's Melbourne Golf. Not to correct you or anything, but I don't want to do a
No,
disservice to
no, that's
the
good.
state of Melbourne. So again, it's taking and looking at opportunities and meeting people that we respect and are in the space that we enjoy and love. And so I've been kind of wanting to do a Melbourne piece. I look at what they've done in the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years at, really changing the game and the perception, from a clothing apparel company, and also just its general philosophy on golf as a game. I really, respect it. As with, I did a piece for Eastside Golf as well. They're doing some amazing things as well. But my son and I, again, we're big golf people, and we're into fashion, apparel, everything like that. So it was like perfect, And so we just contacted Steve and asked if we could have a few minutes. Just want to meet him and talk, creatively. And he had mentioned that their sponsored golfer Jason Day was going to be wearing clothing that they collaborated with Futura 2000, who is, again, you talk about icons in their fields, and he is an absolute world-renowned icon graffiti artist that really is one of the pioneers that started the whole graffiti movement back in the 70s, 80s. And we just looked at it as an opportunity again for a moment. Jason Day was going to be wearing this at the Masters. If we could do like a reveal revolving around, that day when he was going to wear it, but also, anything to be associated with, Futura was, a dream as well. So, we kind of like, talked it out and planned it out. And ultimately, I was able to do a piece that, I think I thought came out good and was really cool, but also, was able to meet Futura. And that was, again, it's just another moment, and, one of those crazy bucket list things that you never thought you would ever get to do. And he was an absolute, unbelievable human being, just so genuine. And, we met over at the Melbourne store in Soho, and, was able to talk, art, and yeah, and we're hoping to get together at his studio sometime soon. So, it was amazing.
So with all these pinch me moments, Steve, like you think about like I just want to go down. I've got a list and there's more, and then there's more to come because by the next time we have an episode, you're probably going to be on Mars, doing a sculpture for the for the first for the first people that we found that are not from this planet. But when we talk about Jordan Poole, Julius Randle, Kobe Bryant, ASAP Rocky, Pau Gasol, you're doing some designer bags. We're not going to put out the name yet because that's going to happen, but you're doing that. The Golden State Warriors, Jordan Brand, and being part of the creative partnership and design for an actual shoe. Now, I brag about you. You're not saying this, so I want to make sure I brag about you. I'm like, my buddy Steve has his own shoe. In my head, Steve, for the rest of time, you have your own Jordan shoe. Like this is, I mean, that's absolutely iconic. Futura 2000, Jason Day, the Masters, Sotheby's, Babe Ruth's Call the Shot jersey, BMW. What now could get you to be a pinch me moment?
You know, as much as I, am absolutely grateful and, love to be able to do these things, the real joy comes from being able to do what I love every day and getting up and being excited about it. Um, and like I was saying before, it's not all, um, it's not all fun and games. It's, there's a lot of work, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of things that go around it. But at the end of the day, nothing will outweigh, the fact that I can do what I love and meet, amazing people. And really, to me, the biggest, the most rewarding thing is, you know, building these pieces and creating these pieces that hopefully bring people joy and, you know, um, just seeing the happiness that it brings them, is something that I cherish. I love working on the pieces. It's amazing to see them come together and transgress each day. But that moment, when they see it for the first time is just, it's elating and just, yeah, it really is worth every single minute, second that I, put into the piece.
Steve, hold up the Jordan one again. You got it sitting right next to you. Hold this
Yeah.
up because let me just say it again. No stains, no paint, just all different types of wood. And that is actual wood. That's not a shoe that you're looking at right now. It's just all wood. And
Two screens here. It's hard to.
it's
But
unbelievable. It's up right in the middle. I mean, it's perfect. This is crazy. If you are watching it right now or you're listening to it, if you're listening to it, you need to go and watch because you got to see this and then comment on it. It blows my mind. I mean,
hey Kelly, I'm gonna do something.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do something here. I'm gonna share with you something that I haven't released yet. It's something that we're going to be releasing in the next few weeks. But I haven't shared this with anyone, and but I'm going to share it with you. Just don't tell anyone.
Okay.
Hang on one second.
It's just between you and I.
Yeah. So this is the Jordan 1 High that
Go to your
oh,
to your right there. Oh my gosh. Holy cow.
yeah.
Now what size is that?
This is actually a 13, which I did that specifically because Michael Jordan wore a 15.
Wow. That is unreal. Now, has he seen this one and the Jordan Low?
I have no idea.
I have a feeling that one's going to be in his house too. So take me through the process of this one. I mean, is it like this one is an evolution too, because the Jordan Low was the first one that you did all.
Yeah.
Okay. What were the things that you learned in that process that hold those both of them up together? Because
This one, by the way, is I think about 4.5 pounds.
About 4.5 pounds. This is unreal, Steve. And for those of you watching, again, I just want to say this, like It is not any stains, not any paints. It's all different colors of wood, and those two are not shoes. They're actual pieces of art. So what did you learn in the first one that you moved into the second one? Because say for instance this way, Steve, there's times where I look back at episodes that I've done on the podcast and I'm like, oh my gosh, did I really release that?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
now I'm thinking like, okay, I got my lighting, I got my shot, I'm doing all the stuff, I'm asking the questions. And I could tell you in 2 years from now, I'm gonna look back and be like, why was I such a bonehead? And you progress, but you're always progressing. What was the progression from that Jordan 1 low to the Jordan 1 high that we're looking at?
it's just repetition. It's doing something and developing a process, and you know most likely the next time every time you do it, you're going to get better at it. And so there's certain things that you learn from doing it the first time, that either you know give you a more efficient way to do it, or just realize a better way to do it. um, but yeah, it's just I use the same process. I've you know there's a fundamental way that I create all my pieces, and that really translates into each piece, the fundamentals of it.
Yeah.
Just this one is just different in it's thinking in full 3D, which
Yeah.
is you know can be quite difficult. um,
Was
I've
this Steve, was this one what I noticed if you hold both of them up, I noticed that there was a little bit more wrinkle on the
yeah,
Jordan High. There was a
yeah,
little bit more wrinkle on the toe box.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
this
was was that
that was intentional. I really wanted this to look worn and look 1986,
okay?
or 89. What was it? 80? Yeah, I think 86 or 87 when the first Jordan.
Yep.
Yeah, I wanted it to look vintage, like aged, and like it was an original Jordan, that.
Oh my.
And really, I love doing that because it only lends to, if you do it well, lends to um, that deceiving the eye. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are details that really lend to that aspect of what I do, and I try to do as many of those things as I can that are going to kind of like deceive the eye. I can't remember what the terminology was, but it's actually a term that's used. I think it's Spanish. I think that's used to describe that type of art.
Hmm.
I wish I could remember it. But Futura commented when I did the vest, and he used that terminology. I had never heard it before, but it's really is what I do. It's art that kind of like deceives the eye, and creates that not knowing whether it's real or not. So yeah, the wrinkles to me is what really makes this. I think makes this piece is just the fact that it looks like it was worn.
Oh my gosh. It's unbelievable. I was we were talking about too, which I think is so crazy, the degrees of separation, right? And what my pops always taught me was that you never know where someone's from, you never know where they're going, you never know where you'll meet up with them again. So make a friend out of everybody. And it was wild because it was probably about 8 months ago, 8, 9 months ago, somewhere around there. I get a call from my brother. You know what the call is. Help this out, Steve.
Yeah, so I got a DM, like you said. I think it was. God, it doesn't seem like that long ago, but I think it was. In 8 or 9 months, whatever, from a guy who said he was a videographer, and he was kind of between jobs and was looking to do a kind of a passion project, and was wondering if he could come out and film what I do and kind of make a a short, like kind of a documentary. And so we looked at it and we were like, you know, sure, why not? It's always great to document things, and if and we looked at his work and it was phenomenal. We were really impressed with his work. And so we had some calls, and I don't know, I can't remember how it came out, but basically he mentioned your name, and I was like, wait a second, I know him. I did his podcast, like, a couple of years ago. Phenomenal guy. We've, become friends, and he was like, no way. He didn't know it. He didn't know that either. Like, it was so weird. Like, you would have thought that, maybe you had mentioned me, but he had just come across me on Instagram and was interested in doing something. So yeah, really weird. It's crazy.
Well, I remember
Crazy
him
how.
texting me and he was like, "Hey, do you know this guy?" I was like, "Are you kidding me?" So I just shot him your um, episode on the podcast right away, and he was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh!" Well, I was actually supposed to. I had told him I had some scheduling conflicts, but I don't know if you know, but I was going to actually just come out and be with you guys during that time. I don't have the
I
video
know.
background, so
I know. That would have been
um,
great. That
that
would
would
have
have
been
been
great.
awesome because
We
I
had
want to see the whole
yeah,
shop.
yeah, we had an amazing time. We shot for a day in New York City and Manhattan, because I spent a lot of time there. I have a lot of followers from New York City, and it's my place to go when I need inspiration and creative boost. I love to be there. I mean, it just feels inspiring, and I always come back inspired. So I go there as much as I can. My son lives there, so it's great. We set up meetings and stuff there. So we shot for a day in New York City, and then we came back to Rochester and shot for a day in the shop. And we had an absolute blast. He's a great guy, and what he does is amazing. And he was able to put together I think a really great piece that really speaks to my work and what I do, what we've done, and yeah, I mean, I'm forever grateful for that.
He's incredible, man. We're actually going to put the link to the documentary because I think that people need
Yeah,
it. It really, what I love about what Brad does is that he captures the heart and soul and then tells it through video, which I've never, I mean,
yeah,
I say this not because he's my brother. I'm very, very fortunate. So all my stuff, like even the commercial for the Vibe Room, all those things is my brother. Like, so I've got an unfair advantage. But his storytelling capabilities are unreal. Like
yeah,
I've never seen anybody be able to do it the way that he does. Um,
yeah. He was uh, just an absolute professional. From day one when we hopped on the call, and then he was putting together, scripts, and just everything he did was so on point, professional. He did his research. He didn't go at it half-ass at all. He really dove in and really you know did an amazing job. So yeah, like I said, a great human being, and an unbelievable videographer with a vision that I think is incredible. I think he's gonna do really well.
who's going to win our finals? Are your Knicks going to get it?
Um, it'll be interesting, man. I'll tell you, they've got that support from that New York City base, man. New York is on fire right now. The city is it's unbelievable, man. My God, I even saw something today where they were comparing Brunson with Carmelo Anthony, who Carmelo Anthony is one of my all-time favorite, players, because I watched him many times live at the Syracuse Carrier Dome because I had season tickets, so I would, you know, went to so many games and saw him, you know, right up close and personal. And um, so yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting
Do
to
you
say the
think
least.
that if they get it, like obviously the biggest question mark is if they can get past game 6, if they get back to the Garden in 7, do you think there's any way that they don't go to the finals?
Um, I mean, it all depends. It's you know, the playoffs are crazy. You know, you see injuries, and if they stay healthy and they can, you know, remain intact and keep that, you know, momentum going, then yeah, I can see them going to the finals definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was tough.
but
That game 1 was rough because to see that, we were actually my wife and I were in Hawaii, so I was being a bad husband and watching the game while we're in Hawaii. But up 14 points with under 3 minutes left. And then,
I know.
oh my gosh, I could not.
Unbelievable performance. I mean, Halliburton is pretty amazing.
We've had some really good NBA this year.
Yeah.
Have you got a chance to work with Carmelo yet?
Nope, not yet. We've got a couple. We've got a couple feelers in there, but no,
Yeah.
not yet.
Well, that's
Someday,
c- that's that's
someday.
coming. That's
Yeah.
that's coming easy, man. Well, I know you got to get back in the shop, and it was great because I was talking to you yesterday, and as we're talking, I was like, do you have some time? And what I want you guys to know is, Steve and I were talking last night, and I said, hey, I want to get you on the podcast again, and literally, it's happening right now. This is the type of guy that he is, but I was saying like, how's your workload tomorrow? And you said my workload is the same all the time, man. I love what I do. I'm getting after it, and I work until the work is done. I think that you're one of the coolest examples, man, because you're not like I can list off all this stuff, and as I say it, I want it to set into people: Jordan Poole, Julius Randle, Kobe Bryant, ASAP Rocky, Pau Gasol. I know you didn't work with specifically Steph Curry, but you were just with him because you did something for the Golden State Warriors. There is some designer bags that are going to go nuts, and all the designers are actually going to be doing your stuff. The Valkyries, Michael Jordan himself, Futura, Jason Day, Melbourne Golf, the Masters, Sotheby's, Babe Ruth's jersey. Heritage auctions, BMW, but none of this phases you because it always goes back to the fact of why you started doing it in the first place. And that was because you and your son really connected and it created that connection point. We need more Steve Thompsons in the world. We really do,
I
man.
appreciate that, man. I appreciate those kind words. Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, it is incredible. If you could do two, you know why I started the podcast because my two kids, Maddox and McKenna, and you're an absolute icon to my son too, man. Like when you showed me it was I don't know if it was one of the first pieces that you did, but you did. I don't know that it was 3D, but it was the string with the two Jordans on it. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about? So
Yeah.
and
That's
he
wow. It's that long ago, huh?
yeah.
Wow.
And so
Yeah.
you had
Crazy.
showed me those and you were like, these are and I don't know, was it am I correct on this? It was more flat. It wasn't a 3D.
Yeah. It was 2D. You know, on a backer that was framed. Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
had you had those and then probably one of my favorite pieces that you've ever done, which it's going to continue on and be, but it was the Jordan 2 or Jordan 2 off-white low.
What? Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But
Here, I'll tell you. Let me see.
but
This
you
this isn't this is actually the real one.
yes.
But yeah, that's the shoe, which is probably one of my favorite sneakers. Yeah.
Did I
I
tell
I
you?
I just think, I mean, Virgil was an absolute, you know, unbelievable, you know, person and designer and just an influence in what a lot of people do, and for me that shoe speaks to me, I think, just because of the level of detail and the with all the, like I said, the when you're trying to kind of like mimic or make something look. I love that when you trying to make something that maybe look aged or old. It's got the cracks in the in the sole, and I just, to me, it's one of the best shoes ever.
It really is. That's an absolute iconic. But you had actually done some um, freestanding. I think it was Jordan ones, freestanding ones that it was a shoestring. It was an actual shoestring, and you had showed me in the last one where they
Yeah.
hung. You know the ones I'm talking about.
Yep.
So you've just become iconic to my whole entire family, to myself. Um, Now my brother, because my brother's a huge fan. You know what I mean? Um,
Shout out to Brad.
oh, Brad is unbelievable. Now I just had the thought too. Did Gentry do Subo? Did he have something to do with that, or was it a different brand? Here was it a different brand?
I'm not sure.
Do you
I'm not.
remember? Do you remember Tsubo? It was TSUBO. Um, One of the
Yeah.
Jordan designers ended up doing that. It was a very short-lived brand for the sneaker, like the that would be like one of the ones that you dig in the crates for to be able to
Yeah.
find. I don't know that
Yeah.
they ever.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know if they ever made on those. But what advice would you have for Maddox and McKenna? And if you could use both their names, that would be awesome.
Oh man. Uh, Maddox and McKenna. Any advice I would have for you would be to focus on something that you love. You know, do it. With integrity, um, passion, and really, follow those dreams. It's always possible if you are passionate enough about something, and work hard enough. I just really feel like there's nothing that can stop you. So you know continue to be stewards of your passion.
Well, Steve, I want to tell you too, from our conversation last night, just over I mean, it's been 2.5 years that we've been friends. And to see the intentionality that you and your son have, and to see, you talked about it a little bit as we were just in conversation, but I want you to know that your words, I listen, I will apply them. Um, but the intentionality that you guys have taken through social media, through the audience that you want to speak with, also the background part, because what I want the audience to understand, and if you're listening to this and you see Steve's work, Steve didn't trip over and then, oh, by the way, he started, making these works of art that literally, I mean, this is one of the most elite artists of our time. The way that he talks about Futura is going to be the way that other artists talk about him. They're going to be pinch me moments that they get a chance to be able to work with Steve Thompson. But it didn't happen on accident. There was the backstory of the 28 years in marketing, your son being as intentional and building the way that he has with your brand and with you guys together, and then looking and saying the foresight, the things that it's normal to you of, hey, here's a moment that's going to be happening. As it was Sotheby's with, or no, Heritage with the Babe Ruth jersey. And
Yeah.
you guys are future pacing it, throwing the ball to where the receiver is going to be as opposed to where they are right now. And these things, I want to honor you in it. And it's very inspiring. And I hope that people not only listen to the words that you say, but that they let the meaning seep in, because the meaning of what you guys are doing and what you've been able to accomplish in just the relationship with your son is unbelievable, man. It's an inspiration to us all.
Oh man, I really appreciate that. That means the world to me. And I think the word intentionality, I think is you nailed it, and that's you know what he's really been able to do is do things with purpose and intentionality. And he doesn't like when I brag about him. He likes to stay completely behind the scenes, and I drive him nuts, because I really, we're a team, and really without one part, it wouldn't work. It really wouldn't. I've always said that. And it's not easy every single day. We're like any other team, or people that work together. We disagree at times, but we have the ability to kind of put things in perspective and know that we're father son first, and anything outside of that is doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, that's what we are, is we're family, father and son. And so we try to really keep things in perspective. It's been a learning process, but we work at it every day.
Well, I can't wait. I don't want it to be 2.5 years before we have another episode. Even if it's in 2 weeks, I'm sure that there'll be 9 other pinch me moments that you'll have, Steve, because that's the way that you do it, man. It's incredible. It's an inspiration, man. And I really want to thank you for your time. Tell me your son's name again.
It's Steve. We call him
Okay.
Stevie.
All right.
Yeah.
We're going to have Stevie on the podcast at some point too.
You know what? I keep telling him, and I keep asking him, because to me it's part of our story. It really is. It is as much a part of the story as anything else. Because it's been this formula that we've kind of put together. And he said it from day one. He said, "Dad, you're gonna do the art, and I'm gonna promote through social, and we're gonna do this. And I want to make it so all you have to worry about is creating, and I want to take care of the rest." And he's just unbelievable, and I can't say enough. And I think that needs to be shared as well. Even though he doesn't want it to, I do think it needs to be shared.
So we want, Steve, we want the exclusive. We want the Steve and Stevie together. The first time, I tell you, if it takes 10 years, the first time, I just want him to be, I want to spend some time with him, because the relationship that you have together is so amazing. It means a lot to me to see too. And I don't know if you realize how much you're inspiring people in this part, but like, with my pop, like my pop and I were best friends. I don't get to hang out with him anymore. He's hanging out with my mom and Jesus right now. And, but to see you guys and to see, the connection point, and that's what I want to invite anyone listening is, if you have a strained relationship with your dad, no matter what it is, whatever circumstances, honestly, if he's on this earth, call him today. Call him today, connect with him. And I mean, Steve, you're an example in that. And I want to thank you for it, man.
Oh, thank you, man. It's been a pleasure. And I really enjoy chopping it up with you, even whether it's on a podcast or on a phone call. But, the way to get to him to get on this podcast, don't you? You got to do a video with your son like you did with me.
There we go. I'm doing it. I'm actually doing it today. I pick him up. I'm picking my son up at 2:30 today. I'm going to do it. I'm going to put it on the Instagram, and you guys answer all your DMs. You already said that. So Stevie, we're coming for you, baby. And
he's going to kill me.
I love it, man. Well, I want to tell you, thank you again. Stick around for a second. We're going to run a quick commercial, but stick around with me just for a second. Sound good?
All right, man.
You're officially off the hot seat, Steve. Peace, love, and soul.
Awesome.
Nothing more on my mind. I got 2 shines, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the